Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the reports of British fishing in Cornwall being stuck in port, really, because they're not able to sell their fish in the EU yet, just as well as Scottish fishermen, some in the same boat, or rather not in that boat because there's no point, but others being asked to catch less because there are problems getting their fish to market. Another hit from the Brexit reality bat into the face that thought that they were going to be making out like bandits once the EU was left properly. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't actually hitting as many people as some of the other immediate effects of Brexit, which I aim to cover this weekend and into next week, if America will please just calm down for a little bit and let me. However, fishing is one of the poster boys of Brexit. Throughout last year, you could not get Boris Johnson or any of his Brexit cronies to discuss the impacts of Brexit on any industry in Britain, save one: fishing. Oh, they were happy to talk about fishing. Oh yeah, we'll talk about fishing at length. What would you like to know? How brilliant it is? It's going to be brilliant, by the way. They're going to be fishing everything. There's not going to be any foreigners in British waters. It's going to herald a new golden age for Britain. There were even Brexit commentators saying how fishing alone, just fishing, would provide a huge boost to the UK economy, when our fishing industry would have needed to have been boosted to 10 times its size to even give a 1% boost. It was a ridiculous notion then. It's even more ridiculous now, because of course we know that Boris Johnson backed down completely on fishing to get his deal. Well, this is a bit of a shocker for people who believed in it. Not that that's the issue that I'm going to talk about here. What I'm going to talk about here has got nothing to do with his capitulation. Frankly, if he hadn't backed down, the fishing boats that are currently stuck with nothing to do would have been in even greater company in the event of a no deal. The reason they are stuck is that they catch shellfish, and there is currently no legal way to sell it right now, because they sell it in the EU. And this isn't going to be a permanent problem. Actually, correction, there is going to be a permanent problem, at least until we rejoin the EU. But it's not going to be permanently impossible to sell their catches. It will just go from being impossible in a few months to being difficult. Right now, the only shellfish that may be exported to the EU, where of course we sell the vast majority of our fish, shell or otherwise, is if it's in ready-to-eat form, I gather, and with a health certificate. Now, this is a bit of an issue that is supposed to be sorted out by April, really the end of April, but that's waiting an awfully long time for fishermen who don't fancy a few months of no productivity. And it's another case of implementing the Brexit arrangements mere days after concluding them. Like every part of the way we've organised Brexit is wrong. I mean, yes, Brexit itself is wrong. But if you were of the mind that we should go through with it, then there were sensible ways to go ahead with Brexit, and then there's what we did. And I'm not going to revisit every single mistake at every turn. But I'm going to focus on the Brexit deal here, because when a trade deal is negotiated by two countries or trading blocs, doesn't matter, then you have an implementation period to follow. We've got one, for example, with Japan. Japan has one with the EU. That's how it works. Now, implementation periods organised by two sides that actually want to act in their national interest are generally to work on alignment between the two. Now, I imagine what our side thought is, well, we're already aligned, so we don't need to do that, do we? Don't need to bother with an implementation period. Missing the point entirely that the reason why an implementation period is to work on alignment for everyone else in the world is because their trade deal is all about alignment. But the Brexit deal, unlike literally every trade deal in the world, is not about alignment, but about divergence. So what we needed to do was to implement that divergence, just as sensible countries need to implement alignment to stop it going badly wrong. We didn't. And now we've got these fishermen being hit. They can't get health certificates for their catches because DEFRA, which is the government department involved, aren't ready yet. Sorry, we haven't quite got ourselves sorted out. You know, they think they'll be ready by the end of April. They're trying to be ready before, of course, but the end of April is when they think they'll be ready. So what they're saying here is, if we'd have agreed to the deal in 2020, as we did, then we could have implemented systems in 2021, i.e. now. Then we could have left the customs union and single market in 2022 with our systems in place. And beyond the trade barriers that are a natural consequence of this extreme Tory Brexit, everything would run smoothly. No, of course it wouldn't, because we've got these clowns in charge who mess up literally everything they do. But at least a lot of more systems would have been implemented and it would have hurt fewer people. And on the flip side, who would it have actually hurt to have had this implementation period? I mean, it's quite normal. We'd have left the EU. It's no good Brexiteers going, oh, it'd just be another reason, another excuse to add some more time to try and frustrate Brexit. We'd have left the EU already. We'd still have the deal. That would still be ratified. There'd be no going back on it, not without years more of negotiations. Brexit would still have happened, but it would have been a bit less destructive than it already has been. And because there's another thing I was reading in a report on these poor fishermen in the BBC. There's reports all over the place, but the BBC one said that these particular Cornish fishermen aren't even sure if their fish will comply with the requirements for the health certificate. So basically, they're not really getting information on that. Now, it might be nice to assume that if their catch was lawful as an EU member, then it would also satisfy the standards required of a third country exporting to the EU. But they don't know that. And that's not necessarily a given. So they get to May, and then the health certification process is up and running at last, we presume, only to find out maybe some of them still can't get one. But let's move on from the 4 months of Brexit where these fishermen can't actually sell so much as an oyster as things stand, and on to May onwards. OK, Phil, we accept that maybe the government should not have dropped us out the customs union single market before we were ready, but they did. We're where we are now, can't do anything about it. It will all be implemented at some point and then all back to normal. No. There is no normal. We've erected trade barriers. Those are here to stay. And because, if we go to the opposite end of Britain and we've got Scottish fishermen. Now, some of those have also been grounded as a result of this. But there are some Scottish trawlermen I was reading about that have been told to catch less fish due to Brexit. Not because they can't sell their fish in the EU. They can. They're okay. The issue for the Scottish trawlermen is what I was discussing last year. The trade barriers put up caused delays in getting their catch to market. The chief executive of the Scottish Seafood Association said that they have been telling fishermen to catch less because the delays of trucks waiting for clearance mean that they can't guarantee that the fish would get to market in time. Oh yeah, there are delays to trucks, by the way. I know the Brexiteers were going, oh, where's these delays to the trucks then? Well, they're at the ports where we said they would be. But I'll be talking about that probably tomorrow. And I want you to consider something else again. So the fishing industry was the sector of our economy that was billed as being the big winner of Brexit. A tiny, minuscule portion of our economy. Let's say the fishing industry in Britain was wiped out overnight. It would be devastating, of course, for the people directly involved and for their local communities, naturally. But nationally speaking, it wouldn't even show up on a chart plotting the economic performance of the UK. You wouldn't be able to point at anything and go, that you see that there? That was the collapse of the fishing that did that, because unless you had a microscope, you wouldn't see anything. This tiny sliver of our economy was prioritised for great things by our government. And look at the reality. We've got some fishermen who can't catch anything at all because of Brexit, directly because of Brexit, because there's nobody to sell it to. And they've got others who have been told to catch less, not more as was promised, but less, because it takes so long to get this stuff to the customer that some of it wouldn't be in a fit condition to sell, so they wouldn't be able to sell it anyway. So just catch less of it, please, less waste. And these are just like a couple of types of groups of fishermen here. I've seen reports of Scottish fishermen, like their Cornish counterparts, as I say, who've also been having to halt operations completely. And I was thinking to myself, as I was mulling this over, I suppose the only ones who haven't been hit at all are those who are fortunate enough to sell to the now much smaller British market. I nearly said UK market, but there isn't really one, is there? Because we split it in two because of Brexit. But I don't think even all of those fishermen are having a great time at the moment, because we have this lockdown, you see. So those who are selling to, I suppose, processing plants who will supply British supermarkets, they're fine, I guess. But if you're selling your catch to British fish restaurants, that's probably not going well. And although that's not directly Brexit related, it is indirectly, because it's the Brexit mindset, of course, which has caused our government to make such an arse of this pandemic. But there we are. But even the ones who, when they get back on track and can sell to the British market and they seem okay, we hardly sell any of that fish to ourselves. We sell most of it abroad. There's a distinct lack of demand for fish caught in our own waters in this country. So that doesn't really amount to very much. And it's certainly not a boost to compensate for the loss of the industry that sells to the EU. And then you think this. So if this is how Brexit is treating the chosen sector of our economy, the ones who were marked out for greatness, just what on earth is it doing to the sectors of our economy that were ignored? I shall be getting onto those very soon, I hope, if disasters on both sides of the Atlantic will allow me to. Until then, I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.